Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back. Nice to see your smiling faces. Today we're going to do something a little bit different than what I've been doing all along in the garage with a lot of washing the cars and stuff like that, because it's getting into winter time. It's frigid to even wash your car, so it's kind of crazy and out of season, if you will. So one of my subscribers, shout out to you, Aaron, had recommended that I do a knife collection review and kind of my thoughts on knives and exactly where I stand with manufacturers and my pros and cons of each knife. So we're going to go through each knife. I'm going to review them on 3 basic principles. 1 being durability, 2 being ease of use, and 3 in the value. How much do you really get for that knife? As far as usability or durability, we're going to go over, the blade steels, how well they hold up, edge retention, stuff like that. As far as ease of use, how easy are they to open? Are they large? Are they small? Are they reasonable to carry around with you? And so myself, I'm a larger knife guy. I like big knives and I like to carry big knives on me. So naturally, I'm going to like a knife that some other people don't like. But we're going to get a little bit nerdy with it. It's probably going to be a feature-length film because I do like to talk a lot. So, and hopefully with this microphone, it's not all washed out and I'm really loud. So we're down here in the gun room at the Durbin compound. So let's go through some knives. So I'm going to go from cheapest to most expensive. So we're going to go through folders first, and then I've got a couple fixed blades that I believe have a couple of their knives, but I haven't got into their more current ones. I only have one of their current ones. So these older knives, if you can find them used, they're very nice. They have great lockup, so their durability is awesome. You never have an issue with durability when it comes to the older CRKTs. They have a very thick blade. Their profiles are awesome. I like to have the Tanto blade. That's just a preference for me. Ease of use. They all have this flipper on the back. CRKT has always been famous for this flipper. One of the things, they have the serrations on the thumb stud, and the thumb stud is on both sides. And I'm pretty sure they do that on every single knife. So it's ambidextrous. You can, on a lot of knives, you can change the position of the belt clip to all 4 different sides. So it's really nice for that. So I think I have one knife that you can change it has a flipper on both sides so that you can orient it right so that when you pull it out of your pocket, it pulls out with opening the blade. So it's kind of like an Emerson design, which I'll show you in a little bit. Not a bad knife to start with. If you can get the older version that was made in Taiwan, they're awesome design. This is a Carson design. This is an M16 12Z. And I'll put a link, if I can find them online, I'll put a link to every single knife I go over today. I'm going to put a link in the description so you can look at exactly what that knife's all about. You can read reviews on it yourself. Don't take my word for it. Vet something yourself before you invest your money. Very cheap knife. I think these can be had for anywhere under 60 bucks. So moving on up. So this is an M2104. This is also a Carson design, so it kind of mimics the same cutout pattern on the handle. So this knife has got it's got a spear point blade. These steels are pretty sure it's 440C, so they hold up okay. They're in decent range when it comes to steel hardness. They're not too shabby. This is a bigger knife for a lot of people. One downfall with this knife is that the belt clip doesn't allow you to carry this deep in your pocket. So this is big when you're talking about just concealment overall. A con with this knife as well is you cannot move around the pocket clip on this one. So you are stuck with this pocket clip orientation, and it does not ride deep in your pocket, which is important to a lot of people. I, for one, I don't really care. These knives have great locks on them. They have a radial lock that comes in way of the frame lock, and it is awesome. They have refined that design, and it is very, very cool. I'm a big fan of the old CRKT knives, and I still carry one to this day. Now, going back into what we were talking about earlier and having the design and the manufacturer overseas somewhere like Japan, I don't know exactly where they are now. Not a big fan of their new manufacturer, so I really haven't followed it. But this knife leaves a lot to be desired. This is a newer CRKT, has really aggressive serrations, really sharp knife directly from the factory, and you know, it has what I would call fake G10. It has a plastic grip on it that's really not that great, and it has a lot to be desired in its build quality. So I would not put any the specific value when it comes to this knife is much to be desired. So you can pick one of these up for $20-$30, and they are a $20-$30 knife. You're going to get what you pay for. It has a radial lock as well, so it's definitely a good knife for, you know, if you just want to carry something around that's cheap. Not a lot of people are into really high-end knives. One of the downfalls is this does not have a deep carry clip on it, so that's just something that you get with the CRKT design. Alright, so moving on up, we'll talk about this knife here, one of Aaron's favorites. He has the KERSHAW version of this knife. This is a Gerber. They both look the same. They're both a Ken Onion design. They're a very cheap knife, and they're very well built. So the frame on this is all aluminum. It's all one piece. So you don't have multiple screws. It's a milled piece of aluminum. The frame lock is included in there. The thumb studs are small. They're great for this size of knife. This is a very small knife. And one of the awesome things about this is it has a very deep concealment pocket clip. So the pocket clip almost allows your pocket to come up to the top of the knife, which is really important sometimes for hiding it away so that you're not seen like, hey, that guy has a pocket knife on him. Not really something that I'm worried about, but it's one of those things that a lot of people like. I like this knife as well. It's a little bit small for me, but like I said, Aaron loves his, and it's been his ride or die for a long time, and I don't knock it. The durability is awesome, the ease of use is great, and the value is unbeatable. When you can pick up a knife like this for $35 around there, and I mean, he's had his for 10-15 years, and it's been a great knife for him. I've had this for at least 15 years, and it's always been in my arsenal. I've never sold it off. I've never thrown it away and said, it's not that great. And this is a Gerber, so they all hold up. They're both the Ken Onion design. Great knife. Great for the value. So another KERSHAW. This is the CRYO 2. The CRYO 2 is I'm pretty sure it's the full titanium handle. This has an 8CR13 MOV blade steel, and it has a lot to be desired. It's a really cheap blade steel. It's below 440C. If you know anything about metal hardness, it's below that 440C. So it really doesn't have good edge retention. It wears out fast. As far as durability goes, the frame is awesome, and it's a tank. I think this, I don't know if it's titanium or it's all steel. I don't know, I have to do my research on it, but it's a Hinderer design, and it's really cool. This is also speed safe, so it's an assisted opening knife, and it comes out awesome. And I barely flipped it. The thumb stud is just like every other KERSHAW. It's a stepped thumb stud on both sides, so it's ambidextrous. This belt clip, I know personally, has come loose on this one. This is one of those knives where you can adjust this belt clip so that it goes on all four corners. So very important to a lot of people. So as far as value, this thing is an $80 knife. So sometimes people might not be willing to spend that much money. I'm honestly, you know, it doesn't bother me to spend 4 times that much on a knife if I really, really like the design and I think it's worth it. So there are many high-end knives out there. So we'll get on to that. But very good knife for the value aspect of it, the blade steel has a little bit to be desired, especially in edge retention. You're going to find that, heck, I don't think I've ever sharpened this knife, and it's pretty dull. It won't even cut you. So it's just that 8 CRV or that 8 CR 13 MOV. It's a cheap blade steel. That's how it goes. So one thing I've thought I'd throw in the mix is I bought this OZARK knife from Walmart. So I saw it on a promo stand on the end cap somewhere in Walmart one time, and I was like, hey, I want to try that knife out because it was $4. It was legitimately $3.99, and I'll put a link in the description. You can pick this bad boy up for $3, $4. So with the pocket change that you got in your pocket right now, you can go get this knife. This knife, as far as value, let's go over value first because it's only $4. So really, if it has an edge and it's a decent knife, then absolutely it's worth that $4. So I don't know how they can make it so cheap. It does not have any markings on the blade, so all I can assume is that it's 440A or 440C. I assume that it's 440A because that is the absolute bottom of the barrel weakest blade steel that there is out there. It just happens. So you know, that's a cheap option. Durability wise, there's no play in the blade. It's absolutely solid. You can't bend it or find any play whatsoever in it. The frame lock is great. It's good for your thumb. The belt clip seems to be made of, you know, a really tough design. It's really tight, and I'm pretty sure that this is some kind of G10 or equivalent hand grip or side piece on it. So, and it's kind of ribbed, so it's great for carrying it around. If I was going to use something for a gutting knife or something where I was going to get it nasty and dirty, this is what I'd use, $4. So it's really awesome to get out there and just get something for $4. So I was really excited to try that. I'm kind of leery about any knife that you can buy that's in a package. If it comes in a cardboard package with a plastic blown molded over it, and you've got to peel it out of a package, it's probably not that high quality of a knife. And this is not high quality, but when it comes to the durability aspect and the things that you can do with it, $4 is where it's at. Alright, so let's get into the higher end knives, more than $100. The last 6 knives that we talked about were all under $100. So very obtainable for the regular average person to have a good pocket knife under $100. CRKT, Gerber, Kershaw, even an OZARK if you really want to go cheap. Too easy, own something under $100. That's for you. There's 3 viable options. Alright, so let's get on to knives over $100. Benchmade. Okay, Benchmade is one of those house names. It's kind of like when you talk about a big box store, you talk about Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, okay? Then you talk about knives and you think CRKT, Benchmade, Kershaw, Gerber. Those are knife companies, right? So this is one of those big box names that's always had a certain kind of fanboy following, a cult following. I don't think they're all that worth the money. I only own 2 of them. I'm not a huge fan. I do. One was gifted to me. I bought one myself, and I did not like it enough to buy another one. But when I was gifted a mini Presidio Auto, this thing's pretty sweet. As far as durability, these are 154 cm blades, really nice. I'm not a big fan of serrations once again, but a nice sharp knife straight out of the box. This knife is got an anodized finish. That is the biggest qualm that I have with Benchmade, is this anodized finish wears off like nobody's business. If I carried this knife for 5 days, I guarantee you that this would start to wear. It's already seen some wear and tear, and I think I've carried it 1 time. You can actually see where the anodize is scraping off, especially on the belt clip. I've never seen a belt clip lose paint so fast other than a Benchmade. It's insane. So that's where that durability comes into play. remember, my first review core element is durability. Yes, it has tightness. Yes, it has a bulletproof axis locking system. Great. But as far as finish, as far as how long is this black finish going to last on the blade, it has a lot to be desired in that department. As far as ease of use, the size of it, this is the mini Presidio, very good size. It's auto, so ease of use, really, you push a button and it comes out. Do I really need to go over ease of use? As far as value, do I think this knife is worth $180? Yeah, you can put a little bit of extra moolah on there because it's an auto, but at the same time, if you wore this every single day and you saw how much a Benchmade could get beat up, you're like, this is not worth $180. So I can't say that it's worth $180. Would I go buy one? Yeah, probably. After owning this, I would probably go buy one because these are sweet. I do like their autos. That's just something that I've always liked about Benchmade. Durability, much to be desired. So on to the next one. This is a Benchmade 520. This is called part of their Presidio line. This is an older knife. This is about 15 years old. I bought this knife when I joined the Marine Corps. So it is an older knife. It's a Mel Purdue design. I have Cerakoted this because the finish on this completely wore off. It was down bare metal, and I think it's an aluminum. I think it's a machined aluminum, so it's really coarse on your hands. It's kind of just like this. It has it's machined aluminum, and you can feel it. It's just got an anodizing treatment on it, and it wears off very quickly. All the edges are already worn off. So my only qualm with Benchmade is they're not worth all the money and all the hype. Everybody's like, oh man, you got a Benchmade? Well, they're really not all that special. This blade steel is 154 cm as well, so it's got a decent blade steel. The pocket clip is decent, stays in your pocket well. It's not crazy high, crazy down far on the knife, so it's not sticking out of your pocket a lot. Of course, this is only flippable reverse one side or the other to be ambidextrous. The slide lock is ambidextrous, so you can operate it from both sides. So a decent knife. I'm a fan of the spear point, no serrations, so that's just something I like. That's my take on Benchmade. Worth the money? No. But as far as durability on the actual blade steel and the frame, yes. The finish, the fit and finish is also important when you're talking about knives, because you want to take it out of your pocket. You want to show somebody like, hey, I spent $200 on this. What do you think? And then it's all worn off, and then the guy's like, yikes, where has this been? It was like, well, I just got it a week ago, and it kind of just wearing off. Well, that's kind of crappy. That's exactly what happened with this knife. So, if you want to spend $200 on a knife, I would recommend against getting a Benchmade just because of that aspect of it. Alright, so let's roll into a different manufacturer. So Spyderco, this is my only Spyderco that I own. So this is the YOJIMBO 2. Spyderco is completely made in the US. They're made in Golden, Colorado. And these knives are awesome. And I plan on owning more in the future. My hobby right now just isn't on knives, so I will rotate through and I will buy them as I go. This is a straight hollow grind knife, very sharp, very pointy. It's definitely one of those gut knives. It's wicked cool design. The steel is CPN S30V, so it is a lot harder than the 154 cm or the 8CR13 MOV, whatever. It's a better build quality. Their handles are made out of G10, and it has a skeletonized steel insert in the frame to incorporate the frame lock and all that stuff. So the only con I have to this knife is their slide lock, or not their slide lock. That's on a pistol. Their frame lock here on the back end. So if you can see this, it's one of those you just kick to the side. Well, when you're using this, it'll wear you out. It wears out your finger manipulating it. Not all that bad. As far as durability goes, these knives are pretty awesome. They have pretty thick blade steel. Obviously, you're probably not going to break this blade. The G10 is above reproach. As far as ease of use, a lot of people have trouble opening these. They take a lot of practice to get used to because they just have the hole. Some people will put zip ties. Some people will just flip it out with their middle finger and get used to exactly how it operates. You just need a little flick and it comes right out and you never have an issue with it. This is the YOJIMBO 2 by Spyderco. And I absolutely love this knife because it's kind of a cool factor. It's like, whoa, what is that? That's badass. Well, yeah, it's my YOJIMBO 2. What's up? So I love that straight hollow grind. It is so sweet, and it is so sharp. I've kind of rounded the tip. You can kind of see it in the reflection, but nothing a little newspaper won't take out. Strop that bad boy back to life. So great knife for the value. I don't know exactly how much I paid for this. Like $140. So when it comes to Spyderco, their value is epic. One thing to note is their pocket clip goes on all four corners. Outstanding. Value, awesome. Cool factor, awesome. So, you know, they have a lot of crazy designs and that's awesome. The only thing is the ease of use is not for some people. And this back lock is just not for me. So that's one con for me. Okay. So let's go on to what has been one of my most favorite knife makers, and that is Zero Tolerance. So Zero Tolerance is is kind of like Kershaw's Pro Shop. So Kershaw has their regular knives, and then they have Zero Tolerance. So I own 3 different Zero Tolerances, so we'll go over these as I have them. So this is a Hinderer design. This is a 0566 carbon fiber. This knife is awesome because it's full aluminum. It's LMAX. So LMAX, if you don't know your steel hardnesses, LMAX is one of the hardest steel for blades out there. I don't think anybody's doing anything harder than LMAX. LMAX is kind of right at that cusp of being brittle. So at a certain point you need to think about not only hardness but how brittle your knives get, or the steel gets, after they've been heat treated to a certain point. So LMAX is one of the hardest steels without being brittle, and this knife is incredibly hard to sharpen because the stones, it kind of laughs at the stones. This pocket clip can be on all 4 corners. It has an adjustable frame lock. Their frame lock is part of the frame, which I love. It is something that doesn't leave a lot to be desired. As far as durability, epic. LMAX is durable. Their frame is durable. I don't see anything going wrong with this one. I've had complaints about the pocket clip coming loose. I usually just go through and Loctite all of my stuff from the very beginning. Yeah, you probably shouldn't have to do that, and you need special tools to get a Torx bit that small. But that's neither here nor there. Loctite your clip on it, and you'll get many years of use out of that pocket clip. I know some people have had issues with the pocket clip. I don't mind it. The great thing about Zero Tolerance is you can send it in and get it resharpened for life. So all you do is pay shipping and handling to ship it back to Zero Tolerance. It comes back with all kinds of new parts on it. So my next knife is the 0300. So all of the knives that Zero Tolerance make, I can't say that. A lot of them have the speed safe design, so a lot of them are assisted opening. This is my favorite knife. This is G10 scaled 0300 from Zero Tolerance. If you're interested, I'll put links in the description. So like I said before, the only thing I've ever had when it comes to durability aspect of this knife is this nut here. I was at the gun shop. My buddy Logan drop checked it on the floor. It banged off the concrete floor and stripped this nut off, and the knife came flying apart. So this little nut here on the pivot point actually has really fine threads, and that shock on the concrete kicked that nut straight off and stripped those threads. I had actually glued it back on. I epoxied it back together and tightened it to where I needed to and let the epoxy dry. So a lot of people are like, oh my goodness, you shouldn't have to epoxy your knife. I get it. Crazy things happen. I've also had my pocket clip come loose on this as well. So it is a problem out there for ZT that they need to fix, is that pocket clip. But when you're dealing with such small screws and such little tolerances, there is a little bit of leeway there. Of course, adjustable frame lock, always holes for lanyards and cool stuff like that. This blade steel is S30V, so awesome blade steel, awesome spear point knife. I can't complain about this knife whatsoever. Other than me having to send it in, I sent this back to Zero Tolerance. They put a new pivot in here. They put a new belt clip on it, and they sharpened it sharp again, and just an awesome knife. And it just demands presence when you get it out. It's like, holy crap, why do you need a knife that big? Because it's awesome. Why not? I love carrying knives this big. It rides decently deep in your pocket with the belt clip. I carry this thing all the time, and this is very big compared to somebody that's used to a knife like this. I get it. That was for you, Aaron. I know you like rocking this little knife, but I like rocking this little knife. And Aaron owns both of those knives, and he likes his 300, but his 300 is also big. A nice comparable, or a nice compromise, is the 0350. The 0350 is a smaller knife, same kind of design, a little bit more sleek, not as thick, but it's smaller, and this is a lot more cool. So 0300 by ZT. Okay, let's roll on to my last ZT. So this ZT is the 620, the 0620. This is Emerson design, so it has this the little notch here, and the thumb stud that is actually a wheel put in with a bolt down into the spine of the blade. Very cool design. As far as durability goes, you got G10, you got a titanium frame on it. I've never had a problem with this belt clip because it has 3 studs on it, so I've never had an issue with this one. This is made with LMAX steel too, so this is very nice. The only issue I have with this knife is when you're opening it and when you're closing it. I usually hold my knives like this to open them. Well, on this knife, it's the only one I have trouble with. Where I actually grip the knife is where the frame lock engages the blade. So when I'm trying to put this bad boy out or flip it out, I'm actually holding pressure on the detent and not allowing myself to flip it out. It's kind of crazy, but that's how I hold the knife, and since it's so slim and slender, it's hard for me to put my fingers anywhere else. Once you get used to it, it's really not that big of a deal. This is one of those knives that clips on your pocket, and then as you pull it out, it yanks on this little tang here on the blade, and that's the Emerson design to come out with your to deploy when you take it out of your pants. So for lack of better ability to explain this, so you put the knife in like this into your pocket, and then hopefully you can see this. Here, I'm going to get up here like a goofball, right? I'm going to get up here. You put the knife in your pocket like this. When you bring it out like this, it automatically deploys like that. So these are on some gym shorts, and I'm going really slow with it, but all you have to do is be deliberate, and it comes right out. So The only downfall to that is you only have a hold of this part of the knife when you're pulling it out of your pocket. So you kind of have to re-grip. So if you're pulling it out and you're going to fight with it, you need to re-grip while you're coming down with it. So that's just one of the things. But that's why I love the Emerson design. So there are a lot of Emerson design knives out there that are awesome. Definitely worth getting. They're a very cool design, and the fact that they deploy like that is baller. Just one of those cool things, like ready to rock and roll at any moment's notice. When you pull it out of your pocket, it's ready to go. Only thing that I have about that is you can't really pull it out of your pocket without deploying it. So just keep that in mind. You think it's a cool design, you think it's awesome, but at the end of the day, this doesn't come out of your pocket unless it's open, because no matter what, this thing will slip and slide on everything. Now, you can set it up and put the belt clip on the other side of the knife and it won't do that. But I have stabbed myself with it because I didn't realize it was out, and then I went to reposition and bam, I got myself on the tip of the knife. And it's very sharp. Heck, I even think I stabbed myself right there. So, very sharp knife. Just be careful. Tanto blade design, sweet. I love Tantos, whatever you want to say. Pushing my glasses up because you're nerding out about it. It's like, oh, it's pronounced Tanto. Whatever, dude. Awesome knife, definitely worth the value. This is a $210 knife. So I forgot to talk about the price of this 0300. This 0300 is a $290 knife, $270. To me, worth every penny. It's awesome. It's an awesome knife, worth every penny. One thing I forgot to mention on this knife is you can orient the belt clip wherever you want, or the pocket clip wherever you want, all four corners. Cool knife. So that goes over my ZT line. This is a knife I picked up a while back. This is a Boker Plus. Okay, some people say Boker, some people say Boker. Oh my goodness, we could argue all day about how it's pronounced. So, this is a Sniper Blade Works collaboration knife. This is called the Dark Hollow. This is an awesome knife. I don't know why I have it down here on the expensive end, because this is not an expensive knife. Yes, if you buy it from Sniper Blade Works, it is a very expensive knife. It's like a $600 to $900 knife. Like, holy moly, it's really expensive. But you can get this one from Boker Plus for, I think this is under $100. This is like $90. Great spear point, 440C. So it's a decent blade. G10 grips, very positive lock on the frame. Durability is awesome. It is a very tight knife. The pivot point seems to be bulletproof. The belt clip, or the pocket clip, I have no idea why I keep saying belt clip. The pocket clip here is very stout. It's very wide. This is the only position for this pocket clip. So when it comes to ease of use, it's not as ambidextrous or customizable as some would hope. Durability awesome. Ease of use, flips out pretty easily. It's a big, heavy knife. It is wide and it's thick, and it demands a lot of presence, just like the 300. So if I put these two knives back to back, you thought the 300 was big. The Dark Hollow is crazy big. So those are that's another option to be into a sweet epic knife that's built very well for under $100. Very cool. Alright, so that's basically it with my folders. Some other things worth mentioning are the Chris Reeves knives. I love Chris Reeves and the Sabenzas. They're sweet knives. Are they worth the money to get into them? I do not think so, and that's why I don't own one. I think he wants like $400 for his smallest Sabenza, and that's just way too much for an entry-level knife in my opinion. It's just one of those things that I'm not willing to accept, and I know that from going from place to place and cutlery to cutlery and being out with Aaron and shopping for knives and getting nitpicky and geeky about knives, I know Chris Reeves does not like for you to flip open his knives. He wants you to pull it gingerly and open it, and do all that. But at the end of the day, like, that's a show knife that you won't use in real life. If you get a pocket knife, you're more than likely going to use it on just about anything and everything, cutting boxes to prying stuff with it. You're going to use a pocket knife because it is a tool. So why wouldn't you buy a pocket knife that is a tool? So the Sebenza seems to be a little bit too nice and one of those pocket queens, or just a drawer queen at home. So some other honorable mentions are Microtech and Strider. Those are great knife companies. They're expensive. I don't own any because, frankly, I just don't want to spend that kind of money. Medford Knife and Tool, their Praetorian is epic. It is a sweet knife and I love it, but it's like $600 and I just cannot stomach the money to spend $600 on a knife. It's kind of crazy. So I just, I'd rather spend that money on something that shoots bullets, actually throws something at you. So, the money can be spent well. Otherwise, I think these are all viable options for somebody to get into the knife world and own a decent knife for a decent price that doesn't break the bank. Alright, so now let's go over a couple other options for people, and that's fixed blades. So fixed blades are one of those things that I do not own a lot of them because fixed blades really don't fit what I do every single day. So I obviously would never review anything that I haven't put a lot of miles on, that I haven't used a lot. So just keep that in mind, that all of my choices, my entire collection is vetted. I have a couple knives that I haven't showed because they're really not worth mentioning. I own a lot of cheaper knives and just random knives that have not held up. They don't even rate to be in this video. So let's get right into fixed blades. Okay, so this is an ESEE IZULA 2. This is a small little carry fixed blade, full tang. The durability on this knife seems to be pretty awesome. I forget what blade steel this is. I'm pretty sure this is 154 cm. I might be wrong. When it comes to durability, there is much to be desired with this. The blade actual edge rusts like nobody's business. I don't know why it rusts. It sits in the exact same safe as all of these other knives, and it flash rusts on the edge of it, which leads me to believe that there's some kind of cheaper material in it that allows it to rust. Made in the US, these micarta handles are kind of nice. They're like canvas, but they absorb sweat, so you can see where I've sweated on this knife. When you have it in the sheath and it rides against your back, it can get sweaty. One thing I don't like about this sheath is that it's so hard to get it in and out. So that's a little bit of force to get it in and out. So you got to really jam it in there. I have stabbed my back fat with it. You gotta use your thumb and pull and just pop it past that retention piece. I have stabbed my back fat by trying to put it away. So you have it back on your belt, and you gotta kind of pull your back away from it so that you don't stab yourself putting it back into the sheath. So it's kind of a hard knife to operate. I rock it back here. You could probably rock it around to the front if you weren't doing any bending over or anything. Not a bad knife. Durability is a little bit to be desired, but it's a strong little knife and you can do a lot with it. Ease of use, stab your back fat. It has a nice big hole in the handle, so you can put a carabiner on it, you can put a big lanyard on it, you can use it as a neck knife, so people use it as a neck knife. If you tied 550 cord around your neck and try to pull down on this thing, you'd probably almost break your neck because the sheath is so hard to get in and out. It has a couple different options. There's a belt loop attachment, and then there's this belt clip attachment. So a couple different ways to rock it. Not a bad knife though, under $100, not all that big deal. Alright, so next is quite the step up. This is the Boker Knife and Tool BK7. This thing is full tang. It has a plastic grip on it. It is a definitely a killing knife. So this thing is a full 1/4 inch thick steel. I don't know exactly what blade steel this is. I should have looked all these up before I started my video, but I only know my blade steels on my folders and a lot of that stuff. As far as fixed blades, I'm kind of a little bit more uneducated. So Boker Knife and Tool, pretty awesome company. This comes with a full sheath that will also hold the Boker BK17 or 19, I think it is, inside the sheath. It's a small knife like this that goes in the outer sheath, but it doesn't have any grip on it. It's just a full tang. So there's a cool option there. Boker BK7, awesome knife. This thing is a war knife, 100%. Real nice, kind of like underlining, like kind of that bed liner feel, that real rough texture. Just feels like it's never going to come off the surface. Just sweet knife. These can be had for, I think, $140. I think is what I bought it for, is $140. So they're nice knives for sure. I've actually gifted these before, so these are really nice knives. Alright, so let's talk about a cheap option. So I don't know exactly how, these are the Mora knives. I don't know, some people use these for all kinds of different things. It's just anything and everything. This is the basic 511. This is a very sharp knife. It's kind of like a kitchen knife. It does a lot of things for skinning, filleting, doing stuff like that. Big, nice tang so you don't slip up and cut yourself when your hands get all slimy from gutting fish or frog. Very sharp knife. This thing is $10. More knife. $10. Comes with a little sheath. Although the sheath is kind of goofy, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, you just put it on. It's one of those, you know, frog hunting knives. You get a frog and then skin them right there, whatever. $10, made in Sweden. Very nice knife. The secondary edge is huge on this, so a secondary edge allows you to sharpen even higher angle, or basically. What would it be, a higher angle? No, it would be a lower angle. The lower the angle, the bigger the secondary edge has to be. So the lower the angle, the sharper the knife can get. Awesome knife. For $10, like, go get yourself one. Go get yourself 5 of them. Like, they're awesome. And I think the very first time I picked one of these up, I cut myself with one. And I think right then and there in the shop, I was like, gotta have it. Like, I cut myself with it. It's sharp. Alright, this is a Benchmade. This is one of their, this is an Osborne design, I think. This is, if I'm wrong, 155. I'll have to look it up. I'll put a link in the description if I can find it. This is another old knife. This knife is probably every bit of 15 years old. I've had this knife for a long time. This is 154 cm. I like the serrations on the back and the front. I remember when I bought this that this top part was not sharpened, and I had them sharpen the top part of it as a deal when I bought it. This is an expensive knife. This was over $200. So just one of those, when I was a kid, I was just like, I gotta have it. It's a Benchmade. But I haven't recoated this. You can tell just from taking it in and out of the sheath. I don't know if that shows on the camera, but you can see a lot of the finish has worn off just on the blade. I haven't carried this. It has the same type of aluminum anodized grip that wears off very quickly. The sheath, much to be desired. The Velcro on it had worn out or otherwise torn, so I cut it off. So it has no retention. It just falls right out, you know. So just one of those things that you come to accept. I'm not going to carry this. I just have it, and I got it in the gun safe. Show off, I guess. Alright, so the last fixed blade. This is a Smith & Wesson Homeland Security knife. I was gifted this as well. I used to have one of these in high school, and actually my first knife accident was with one of these, and I was getting it out of the sheath like a idiot, or as we would call it in the military, a boot. So as a boot, I was taking it out of the sheath, and I was holding the sheath like this, and I dropped the knife right across my forefingers and sliced them all to the bone. And I was like, ha, that hurts. So big, huge. This is once again one of those that's a 1/4 of an inch thick. The one I had in high school was like a urban camo zebra kind of looking thing, and this one was gifted to me. Staff Sergeant Augenstein bought me this one, so I think he bought it for me for my birthday. We went to the store and he was like, "Which one do you want?" I was like, "Man, I want that Homeland Security. I haven't had one in forever." Nice handle, very. I mean, this is a chopping knife. I mean, if you really need to do some work with this, you could, for sure. Big full tang. It's got multiple areas for lanyards and stuff like that. I've seen some people put like a lanyard loop on it for around your fingers. Just a heavy knife. This thing is heavy. Definitely a war knife if you ever needed to do some work. Awesome knife. I think they're well under $100. I think they're like 60, 70 bucks. Durability, it's above reproach. Its durability is insane. I mean, it's a 1/4 inch thick steel. I mean, you could use it as a pry bar. You could chuck it at somebody just in case they brought a gun to a knife fight. Well, you throw this bad boy at them. And if you get lucky, the pointed end hits them first. Ease of use. You don't really need to talk about ease of use on fixed blades. One of the things is that the sheath is very hard to pull out, but for the most part, decent ease of use. Value, it's kind of one of those knives that's just second kind of cool. It's not really awesome to own one, but you got it, and you can say, I have a Homeland Security knife from Smith & Wesson, whatever. So that's a general overview of all the knives that I own and why, pros and cons on each of them. If you have any questions or concerns, or you want to say something or anything like that, interact with me in the comments below. I'd love to answer your questions. I'm a jack of all trades and master of none, so I don't claim to be an expert on any of this stuff. I'm literally just giving you the down and dirty on each knife that I own, the pros and cons of each, and if you want to go out and get one and try it for yourself, I invite you to. I'll put links to all of the knives I went over today and in the description, and you can click over, see if it's something that you want to go out and buy. But I recommend each and every one of these knives for a different purpose. Some of them cheaper, some of them more expensive, but I believe in every single one of them for its own specific purpose, and you get what you pay for absolutely 100% of the time. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about today. Look over my notes. Oh, another knife maker I did not mention is Quartermaster. So Quartermaster is an exotic knife maker, is what I would call them, exotic knives, because they make a lot of crazy designs, and it doesn't seem like you can ever buy them, but they're wicked cool. But the pictures on the internet do not depict exactly how big their knives are. I mean, one knife that I was looking at, the Orville, I think was at least 40% thicker than this Boker Plus, and it was crazy thick. I mean, it was at least 3/4 of an inch thick. So it really didn't. It was like, I'm not gonna get that. They were decently cheap. They're affordable, and their designs are awesome. But at the end of the day, when you have a really, really, really thick knife, like, man, that's printing a lot in your jeans, and I just don't like how how that looks, and it just doesn't jive with me. I want to be able to carry the knife at the same time. Like, this is probably the biggest knife that I'm gonna carry. So hope you guys enjoy. If you'd like to see more like it, then go ahead and hit me up in the comments. any feedback is awesome. If you want to see more, just shoot it out there. Just throw it out there. Let me know what you guys want to see, and I'll bring it to you, and we'll go over all kinds of fun stuff. Thanks for sticking with me. I know this is probably a feature-length film, and those of you who watched it all the way are geeking out, but you got my take on it, and we'll see you guys next video.